It's a bye-week Wednesday here on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel. Anthony Moeglin jumping in with my partner, Kevin Woidke. And as we get going today, we got a fun episode coming your way today. As we're at the midway point in the season, the Buckeyes are in the midst of their second bye week of the year. And because of that, we're going to look ahead. Going to have a fun episode predicting the college football playoff in 2026. We'll get into the details of that. But before we do, Kev, have you ever had 2 bye weeks in the season before?
No. No.
How,
if you count not making the Big Ten championship as a bye week, which
I guess that could be a bye week. You could consider it one, but man, 2 bye weeks would be tough, dude.
Yeah, it would be crazy. I mean, it's not easy. Those bye week practices are not fun. That's for sure.
They suck. It actually is the worst. Those guys, and I think they call them improvement weeks actually. And these guys don't because it's a week off of football, or at least a game on Saturday, means they turn it up during the week. And I know from a player standpoint, it's not the most fun, not something they look forward to. But Kevin, I think that one of the big things that really you and I have talked about when we've talked about this season, even going back into July and August, is like it splits up perfectly where there's like almost 4 quarters of the year. The first quarter was, led by Texas, and then you got 2 of those games in there that maybe weren't the hardest. And then that second stretch, that second quarter, you get into Big Ten play, you get your first 2 road tests. And then this third quarter is kind of that finishing line. They're getting to the finish line of the regular season leading into the fourth quarter, which is the postseason, man. I think that it really split up nicely. Is good scheduling, I guess, on Ohio State's part. But man, it's given them like checkpoints to hit and to kind of aim through and get through the season here.
Yeah, like you talked about, it's broken up into 4 quarters. I think the second quarter was hone in on your skills and don't make any mistakes. And I think that's what they did pretty well. They showed shots, they showed glimpses of ability out of Julian that we didn't really see in that first 3 games. And then, it's not really just a, hey, walk in the park type. They're like Penn State. Their second quarter was terrible. I mean, there's a lot of schools that stumbled and fell, Miami being one of them, at home against Louisville. And I don't think they fell enough in the rankings, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that's kind of my 2 cents is we played well enough, and I think that's all you can really ask for at this point.
Yeah, really the way that like week 8 ended was such a good reminder, for Ohio State to like, hey, always approach. Again, I've said it every show pretty much. Like, there's no reason to believe that this team wouldn't approach every game with and give it their utmost respect and their utmost attention. But it's just always a good reminder. You've seen these teams slip, and you look at Texas Tech. They fall last week to Arizona State. Miami falls to Louisville, and obviously Penn State's had their struggles. And it's just a constant reminder for Ohio State to keep their foot on the gas, man, and to keep it going, which is exciting. And we're obviously going to have you covered the rest of the way here through this second half of the season, if you will. But today, Kevin, got an exciting show for the fans here, for the people, as we got a nice crew jumping in with us now. A reminder before we get started, make sure you're following along. Make sure you're getting over to Buckeyes Roundtable. The link is below. I did get good news. We're very close to shrinking this down. That URL is going to shrink down, and it's going to be much, much easier for people to get there, for us, Kevin, to say it. Because
huge. That's good to hear. I didn't hear that, so I'm glad you're tapped in.
It is a mouthful to say, but make sure you're getting over to Roundtable. Download the app. Find Kevin. Find myself. I'm all backwards here on my screen, but find us in there. Make sure you're following along with all things Buckeyes on the Buckeyes Roundtable here. So, all right, we're getting into it now. Kev, a fun show ahead for the people. We've got our first iteration of the playoffs. This is it was exciting to talk about, exciting to put together. We have a 12-team playoff here, and you and I worked on this thing together, looking at what these seeds could be, what these teams could be for the playoff. And obviously, this isn't hey, we took the top 12 as they are now. This is our prediction. So, Kev, as you look at this initial board here, what are some of the things that stood out to you with your picks here?
Well, the first thing is it looks like I'm not even talking because I added my handle to the end. There we go.
There we go. Here we go.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, I got you. We're producing on the fly here. There we go.
So, I'm sorry, run your question back one more time.
What's some things here that stand out on this board? I know it was mostly you putting it together when you were going through this. I have two that stood out to me in our initial board here. But what are some of the things that stood out to you here when you were thinking through this?
I mean, when I was thinking through it, I throw USF in there because it was Memphis, but Memphis is gone, and I mean, I could see USF sneaking in there. The issue I foresee is I might be overzealous here because if Notre Dame makes it, there's no obligatory USF.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it's anyone outside the Power Four.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a group of five unless Notre Dame's in that group of five, but they're independent.
Yeah. So that's a really good point because this is a different, while it's the same 12-team playoff, it is a different format this year. Last year it was the 4 conference champions, and then the highest ranked non-conference team got the top 5 seeds. Okay, so it didn't matter. Like, let's look at this board right here. Obviously, in seeds 1 through 4, you have 2 Big Ten teams. That was impossible last year. That was a rule that's been changed. So it is your top 4 teams get those bye weeks, and then every team slotted where they would fall. Okay, so that's how Notre Dame gets to number 10. USF here gets to number 12. Kevin, Georgia Tech. Talk to me about the Yellow Jackets. You got Georgia Tech being ranked at number 3 in the country. How did we get to Tech being 3rd in the country here?
So realistically, I have them. This is basically calling my shot. I have them going undefeated. I have them beating Georgia in the last game. They were so close last year and didn't do it. And I'm pretty sure that was in Georgia, if I remember correctly. So now they're coming home to Atlanta. They're a really good team. They're scrappy. They get wins. And they always play well against Georgia. The last few years of Georgia Tech has been closer than – I mean, I'm going to look that up right now because that just hit me on the fly. Very well could be a toss-up game. I mean, the last two, 2023 and 2024, one in Atlanta, the Yellow Jackets only lost by 8, and then one in Athens, they lost in 8 overtimes to the Bulldogs. Like, I think they could not easily, I think I could see them winning this game. And that's why I have Georgia dropping all the way to 7. Mm-hmm. If Georgia Tech escapes Georgia with a win, they're going to the ACC Championship undefeated. And if they win the ACC undefeated, I mean, my question then becomes, how are they not the 3 seed?
That's right. No,
here's my thing. If they go undefeated win the ACC, they could potentially be a 2 seed. I mean, that's the thing. I doubt they'll do that because a 1-loss Bama versus who they will be playing is going to have more of a strength of schedule than a no-loss Georgia Tech, but it'd be crazy for them to put – everyone talks about there's no way they'd put that. So, like, Georgia Tech undefeated could be the number 2 team in the country come that first weekend of college football playoffs.
Dude, if Georgia Tech runs the table as undefeated, oh my gosh. Obviously pulling for Ohio State. You wouldn't find a bigger Yellow Jacket fan than the one sitting right here, man. I would be riding the Haynes King train till the freaking wheels fall off and that thing crashed. That would be so sick. And it's making for a potential round 2 matchup between two of the best quarterbacks that I love watching, Diego Pavia versus Haynes King. Don't laugh yet. I know you're not the biggest fan, but we'll see. We'll see right here what we predict. But this 12-team playoff here has got some absolute bangers in it. And the first one is up in that top left corner for the right to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. And unreal. Could you imagine out in Eugene, Miami versus the Oregon Ducks to get this thing going? Kevin, holy cow. What do we think in that first game of the college football playoff?
I mean, it would be awesome. I would love to see those Miami boys go up to Oregon in the 3rd week of December. It's the same thing where it's tough, but, I would have rather flipped Notre Dame and Georgia if Notre Dame was having a better year, but they're not. Mm-hmm. That's just the reality of it. I would love to see, because that's the other thing is I think Notre Dame. I mean, they can't really lose one more.
No. They lose one more, they're out, but their season does lighten up. But, dude, in this matchup, like you said, you rarely get to see Oregon, up in Eugene in December. Like, I don't think we've ever seen it at all because at this point in the season, you're typically into, neutral site games and domes and all that stuff. This would be wild, Kev. I think we'll reveal our winner here. We got the Ducks. We got Dante Moore and the Ducks taking down Miami. That game would be off the charts, man. That would be super cool. Two massive brands. Very similar, honestly, dude, to last year when Tennessee came to Ohio State, and it was like that vibe of like, oh, yeah, two teams that don't match up often, but two of the bigger brands in the sport getting to lock horns and get after each other. But that would set up a very fun round two with Oregon coming to Columbus to visit the Buckeyes. And we will get to that here in a little bit. But, Kev, the next game, I think this one can be quick. Texas A&M hosting the USF Bulls, the South Florida Bulls down at Ryan Field. Kev, what do we got here for this A&M USF game?
I want to preface this with these are 100% biased picks, and I am 100% idiot. So this could be the worst thing anyone's ever seen.
We're holding us to it, dude. This is gospel, bro. We are locked into these, by the way.
We are. I am so dumb. This would be insane. But I love the Bulls. I do love USF. A big fan of teams that play their games in NFL stadiums. Not really, but what are the Bulls going to do? Budget cuts. However, it's Texas A&M. I mean, it's a no-brainer. They're probably going to win that. I mean, it's tough that we're getting so far. No real upset, which we didn't really have last year. This isn't like college basketball. Like the better teams will most likely win, especially if they expand to what they want to of 24 or 28 teams. Like it's going to narrow down. Teams are going to lock in, and they're just going to be better. Like they're going to have time to prepare, and it's not going to be like college basketball.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was having that exact thought as you were talking through this. Like this, at least at this point in the 12-team playoff, like this is not going to foster a lot of upsets here, and you'll see that I think this year. However, it does shake out. I think that'll be the case. But Texas A&M, I agree. I think Texas A&M would roll over to USF and set up a left side of that bracket, man. I mean, those two games. I mean, those if you get that. I mean, oh, yeah, sign me up. Where's the dotted line? I'm putting my name down for that one. So, Kev, flipping it over to the other side, a very fun one. This would probably be, if I'm looking at these first four games, I'm seeing that Texas A&M USF game. That's like that. That's that noon game. That's the noon kick to appetize everything. And then I think it goes to this Texas Tech Vanderbilt game before the Georgia Notre Dame game to finish out in Eugene with Oregon and Miami. But Texas A&M Texas Tech hosting Vanderbilt. Both teams would be rolling at this point. Texas Tech, in theory, would have their quarterback back. What are we thinking here for the top of this?
I mean, my feeling, I think Texas Tech has this in the bag. I actually see it shaking out differently. I don't know how they're supposed to do this. I don't know if it's like our 7 through 10, do they for sure play on Saturday and do?
No, that's a good point. That's a good point because last year, what was it? Notre Dame and Indiana were the first night, right?
Right.
And then it was 3 games on day 2, right?
No, it was 2 games the first night.
Wasn't it?
I'm almost positive it was, but I might be wrong.
I remember, what I remember is not even seeing like a snap of Texas versus Clemson because it was like at noon. And then I remember it would have been, who would have been that second game?
It was
Indiana definitely were the first night, and we were definitely night 2.
Yes. So the first game was 7 versus 10, Notre Dame versus Indiana.
Okay.
Then noon on Saturday was Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
Then it was Clemson, Texas, and then the last one was us versus Tennessee. So I don't know how it would break out. So that's where I think Texas, you could see the Texas Tech Vandy game played on Friday.
Yeah.
I think you then follow it up with Texas A&M USF at noon.
Yep.
Then I think you go Oregon Miami at 4, and then finish the night with Georgia Notre Dame again under the lights in Athens. It would be rocking. It would be crazy. Oregon already got their night game this year, I think. I don't know, but that's how I think it would shake up. But circling back, I just think Texas Tech has too much firepower, and I think that the dumb quarterback at Vandy is going to fall off.
Be nice to my guy, dude. Come on.
Hey, you know what? I'm all for. I get it, but like, back it up. That's my take on it.
We'll keep backing it up for you, Kevin. We're gonna have a Diego Pavia minute every damn Saturday. All right.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Diego
I know you don't. That's why we're having it.
Hey, I get it. He wants to talk his talk, and he backs him on the field. That's great. Johnny Manziel wasn't running around saying I was the first one in, the last one out. We knew that. And you know what? He was fine on Saturdays doing that. Don't act like you're this.
Don't compare my boy to Johnny. No. Don't compare my boy to Johnny.
Oh, he is Johnny. He's exactly Johnny.
No, he's not. He's Johnny.
You're right. He's not as good.
He's all right. Back on track here. We're going between the hedges. It's Saturday night, 7 p.m. kick. The Irish visiting the Georgia Dogs. What do we got here? This one is this would be, I think, dude, after watching that Ole Miss Georgia game, no defense was played. Notre Dame doesn't play defense. Notre Dame's got a great offense, good running game, good quarterback. This one would be, I'd be on the over in this game 100%. Who do you got winning it, Kev?
I have the Bulldogs winning it. I just think they're going to be overmatched. I see Georgia as the Ohio State of last year.
Yeah,
I see them as a team that lost a close game that they probably shouldn't have lost to a worse opponent, and they're going to carry that up until they lose to Georgia Tech, which is why I know for a fact this is wrong, because they would probably be – I would assume Georgia would then be – if they lose to Georgia Tech, they're probably I don't know. I'm an idiot. I told you that before we started. But – I should have done this. I should have looked at their schedules before I made this. But
no. Hey, the committee. This is how the committee laid it out. We don't make the rules here, even though we did make the rules in this.
Exactly. Scenario. But if this is how it shook out, who knows how this would happen, because it probably wouldn't. But if this is how it shakes out, I got a rematch of Bama Georgia to run it back, because I just think Georgia's. It's same thing. They outmatched Notre Dame. You said it. Notre Dame doesn't play defense, but Georgia can, and that's where I think the difference is. Because Notre Dame has a phenomenal offense. I'm not going to say until they don't. I just don't think they have the toughness to compete with a Georgia defense that obviously is not what it used to be, but is still a sleeping giant that could be there.
Yeah, there's no doubt that game would be sweet, man. And that first weekend, dude, if they get this first weekend, like last year was kind of a snoozer, right? Notre Dame rolled over Indiana. Obviously, I talked about not even remembering the Clemson Texas game, which was after the Penn State SMU game, which no recollection of, and then Ohio State bullied Tennessee. I do think this is showing that these teams are a little bit closer together. You see these logos and you're like, oh yeah, close game here, maybe a blowout in Texas A&M versus USF, but then you got probably a closer game in Georgia, and potentially a close game in Texas Tech. Dude, that'd be pretty cool, and it would set up a very, very fun round 2 here. This is where the neutral site games start happening. I was doing my best. I don't know where each of these games will be played, so I said screw the logos. We won't talk about it. Let's just talk about them as neutral site games here. And we finally, in round 2, get the Buckeyes off of a Big Ten championship in this scenario, off of that first round bye week, feeling good about themselves and rolling, and they get the Oregon Ducks, which – if you're Oregon, you don't love this matchup because it brings back some pretty bad memories from the Rose Bowl last year. Kevin, I think this one's simple. It's not going to surprise anybody. What do we have here in the first game of round 2?
We had the Buckeyes winning here. No surprise. We said it was biased to start. I'd be shocked if you can't pick who we think is going to win based
on. All right, everybody, if you're jumping off now, make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, I would have thought. No, but I do see Ohio State winning this game. I have not been as impressed with Oregon as I was last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they are. I think they're a very good team. I do. I just don't know if they could compete with what we have, and that's people saying Ohio State looks better than they did, and that's a lot of people saying Ohio State looks better than they did last year. And it's, you don't want the rat poison to kick in, but there have been teams that have been better than a national championship team the year before, and one of those teams being Alabama in the 2010s. They won a couple of those back-to-backs, and you're like, wow, this team's better than last year. It's like, yeah, that's how that goes sometimes. And this is an example of that, I think, in my opinion, which is why I have the Buckeyes beating the Ducks in what will most likely be the Rose Bowl, because how it works is Ohio State would get to pick their first choice, then Alabama, which I would assume would be the Sugar Bowl, then Georgia, which would probably be the Peach Bowl. Is that in Georgia? That's the one in Atlanta, right?
That's the one. Yeah, Peach would be there.
Indiana, I could see them going down to Dallas. No, I couldn't, because they'd be playing Texas A&M. I could see them going to what's a decent one? I don't even know.
Well, you could go to New Orleans and get get Sugar in there, unless we already said Sugar. No, you said Alabama taking the Sugar Bowl.
Alabama taking the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, but
man, I'm getting this fired me up, dude.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna change this up. Ohio State doesn't play in the Rose Bowl. Make the Oregon fans travel. They go down to the Sugar Bowl, or they go down to the Cotton Bowl, and then Indiana takes Texas A&M out to the Sugar Bowl.
Bro,
happening.
Indiana having the Rose Bowl. That game in the Rose Bowl would be nuts.
I can already see the Rose Bowl logo just looking at them now, and it'd be reminiscent of that Utah logo.
Yep, exactly, dude. It would
or you just have a rose sticking out of the eye in the Indiana.
Yeah, there'd be some good ones. Or you would tie it around the eye in between the U's. It'd be pretty sweet. Whatever they would be able to do there, that'd be pretty cool. And then Texas A&M, you get a bunch of Texas folks out in Pasadena. They'd be tearing up the Rose Bowl. It'd be a lot of fun. But even cool. That conversation's getting me freaking fired up for the playoffs here and getting back to those big sites and those big games. So, all right, Kev, let's say we're back at the Rose Bowl. It's Indiana. It's Texas A&M. Two teams that are high-powered, looking to score a bunch of points. Indiana, in this case, would be coming off a loss, but still gets the bye. What do we got here? Indiana versus Texas A&M.
I beliove I took Indiana here.
Yep.
Right?
You did. Bang.
I kind of want to go back now. But we're going pretty chalk so far. I could see Indiana winning this, because they get the reality check of playing Ohio State in that Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
And I could see them having a motivation to be like, okay, here's what we need to fix. And I also think this USF team could give Texas A&M a run for their money and then have them have a tough week of preparation because they're licking their wounds a little bit from a close game. Who knows? Mm-hmm. I wish I could go back, because now that I think about it more, I think if Indiana loses to Ohio State, Ohio State might expose the issues in this Indiana team, if there are any, and I can see Texas A&M with the athletes they have down there exploiting some of those issues. Yeah,
there's no doubt that could certainly be it. But man, what we saw last year, I mean, it was very outside of Ohio State just hitting that second or hitting that, I guess, fifth gear. All throughout the rest of the board was pretty chalky. You mentioned it being kind of a chalk picks to this point. Notre Dame did get hot, so I guess I got to take that back because it ended up not being chalky. But the good part is, it was because of the seeding. The seeding messed a lot of that stuff up. Penn State rolling over Boise State, that shouldn't have been the case. So I do think the better teams ended up winning, and in these scenarios here, we're getting a lot of that. So flipping it over to the other side, I have a feeling, maybe a little cliffhanger here. We get off the chalk here, but does it start in this game? Does Texas Tech have enough to take down Haynes King and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets?
See, I think that Vegas will have it flipped from what the rankings are, but I think Georgia Tech wins this game. I like the Yellow Jackets. Like, we need an underdog. In the eyes of everybody, Georgia Tech has to win one game. They get to prep for 2 weeks for one team.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, they're prepping for 2 weeks. For the first week, they're prepping for 2 teams. And the next week, they're prepping for one, which is a huge advantage because the other 2 teams have to focus on one than the other, which is where it's like, hey, we can do if you're Georgia Tech, you could do a Texas Tech practice one day, a Vandy practice the next, and alternate until you figure out who you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I kind of love about it. I mean, I think this will be a little bit more chalk than last year, which is where I also think it. Like, last year, the Final Four was 8 versus 5 and 6 versus 7. 1 and 2 were knocked out. 1, 2, 4, and 3. Wait, okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4 were all knocked out in the first.
Yeah, so what I said, I got to shut up because it wasn't true.
No, that's what I was confused. Hold on. That's why I like the Georgia Notre Dame matchup there, because it's a replay of last year. But this one I think will be a little bit more chalk, at least on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I could see Haynes King leading this Georgia Tech team. This is like the FAU of college basketball.
We would be outrageous on the show. And when I say we, I would be outrageous. I'd have a Haynes King jersey bought by that time.
That'd be a blast.
That'd be unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable because it would potentially set up a Georgia Tech versus Georgia rematch. You talked about, hey, Georgia Tech and Georgia are going to have played each other in the last week of the season. In this case, Ohio State and Indiana would have played each other. Kev, do we get Alabama beating Georgia to go to the semifinal, or does Georgia upset the Tide and get the right to play their in-state rivals?
See, we've been very chalk. We're going to keep being chalk. No, we're not. This is where Georgia beats Alabama. They redeem themselves from that loss. The beginning of what was that? End of September, week 4 or 5 of the year. They bounce back against the Tide because here's the thing: they won't see each other again until this point. If they see each other again, like, that's the reality. And Georgia losing in Atlanta to a Georgia Tech team wouldn't drop them very far. And that's why I think you could see that happening, where they still make the playoff even after losing to Georgia Tech. But they play Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, right in the – I mean, you're between 2 teams there. It would be a blast. I think that this is one of the most staple, like, big games out of the SEC, like the 2 best, the Frazier Ali, whatever, I don't even know those boxing things, but like the heavyweights, that these are the 2 guys that everyone expects to come out of the SEC on top. Maybe not this year because a bunch of people overweighted a quarterback because his uncles are cool. But I could see this being one of the better games of the bracket this year.
It would be awesome. And it would set up, look at this Final Four. It would be out of control, man. I would say screw the locations. Play Ohio State and Indiana in Indianapolis, or it'd actually be perfect if Cleveland had their dome by now, because that would be
put it in weather. Who cares?
Play it. Hey, he said play it at Huntington Bank Field. Play it in the snow. That's what the fans want. That's what the people want.
You know what? No, what I want, play it at Dayton. Play it at the University of Dayton, in between the 2, and go from there. That's what I want.
Welcome Stadium down in Dayton.
I don't know what it is, but I want to see it.
You ever been down? You ever been to a Dayton football game?
I've never been to a Dayton football game.
I almost went to Dayton. That would have been a fun. That would have been I was going to be a punter at Dayton. That would have been cool. There you go. But all right, here we go. Ohio State, Indiana, the rematch of the Big Ten championship game. 2 teams that let's say the Big Ten championship game was close. Let's say it was a close game. Buckeyes won 21-10 on a late offensive drive. What are we looking at here as the Buckeyes make their return to the college football semifinal, taking on the pesky Indiana Hoosiers?
I think they wipe them. What do you want me to say?
He said, throw the close games out. This is a boat race.
Look at the name of the channel. I mean,
the Buckeyes round table.
I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? Shout out Brendan, who didn't want to be on here because he didn't want to lose any credibility. Don't have anything funny other than that. He just didn't want to be predicting stuff. He's a guy out there. He's a journalist.
He's a big J. He's a big J. That's a big J.
He's not gonna sit here and talk about how he messed up Georgia and Oregon because there's no way Georgia stays at 7 after losing to Georgia Tech, and I don't even know how the hell Vandy gets there after losing to Tennessee this year. But it'll be. Oh God, I messed. This is post.
This is good. This is good. This is
post work fog.
All right, here we go. Ohio State gets back to the title game, and they are facing which of the Georgia teams? Do they get Haynes King on the other side, or they got to take on Gunnar Stockton and the Dogs?
See, this is where the Cinderella story comes to an end. This is where
I don't want to do it, man.
The Bulldogs redeem themselves again. It is the revenge tour for the Bulldogs through the entire playoff run, from Notre Dame that ended their season last year to Alabama, who was their first loss of the year, to Georgia Tech, who would be their second loss of the year. And that is where I see the number 7 Georgia Bulldogs, which would not even be close to where they'd actually be, would be playing Ohio State. Would love if this is a possibility, but the chances of this are so low. It's insane how this broke down. I messed this up.
Well, maybe in your scenario, maybe Georgia's the 10th seed. Maybe they'd be the 10th seed, so this could happen in theory. But this does set up a game, Kevin, where Buckeye fans look away because this is a reminder. This is a memory of, what was it, the 2022? Was it 2023
22 final.
Yeah, where the missed kick as the clock struck midnight. Oof, that was tough on New Year's Eve.
It was 22.
Yeah.
Into 23?
I think so. I would be willing to bet. I think that was
yes. It was 22 New Year's Eve because 23 Georgia wipes the floor with TCU.
Yep.
24-2 at North wins. 25 we win. So this would be a rematch, and this is what this is, if you would have told me pick 2 teams to make the championship this year before the season started, this is who I was picking.
Yeah.
These are, in my opinion, the 2 most talented teams.
Mm-hmm.
But the part you got to remember is my opinion means nothing. I have expressed multiple times. I am not a savant. I'm not a genie in a bottle. I'm not a psychic. I am here to talk football from a guy who played football and he played offensive line. Like, that's if that doesn't say enough about it. Like, I got hit in the head a lot. I was smart, but I got hit in the head a lot. And I'm like, that is my stance on where you can establish my credibility.
Bro, I gotta write that one down, dude. Hey, you gotta remember, my opinion means nothing.
I want to put it as I put myself in the same Jason Kelsey in terms of, like, Andrew, is it Whitlock? Yeah,
Whitworth.
We're all smart guys. We're all good-looking guys, but we make mistakes. You're right. We're all incredibly good-looking guys.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's we're never gonna. We're the most fun guys in the room, but we're never gonna be. We're never gonna be the geniuses. That's for sure.
But this does set up. This is a very you're not giving yourself enough credit. This is I think this looks to me a very realistic. There's some seed changes, but this could be this 12-team playoff isn't all that far off, in my opinion. And this certainly, this Final Four could absolutely happen, and this championship for sure could be lined up. So, Kev, if we do get this championship matchup lined up here, you took all suspense away. What do we got here on the 2026 national championship? Who's hoisting the trophy?
What do we expect? I think
Georgia Bulldogs.
Julian's saying hoists his first of 2 trophies, or I guess his third, but his first of 2 as a starter. I think Jeremiah is holding his second of 2 big time rings after the game, or second of 3. I don't think we're ever losing a game again. No, I'm kidding. But I do think with this team and this defense, with Matt Patricia leading it, it'll be very hard pressed to find a team that'll be able to exploit it in any capacity. Yeah. And that's where I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited they're getting this bye week. We get to do this fun thing. But in reality, I think that we should have picked different colors for the graphic.
Oh, give me a freaking break, dude.
I'm kidding. No, but in reality, I think that the Buckeyes will, if you're going to ask me to bet on one team this year, it's the Buckeyes to win it all. Yeah. They've played the best. It looks like they're not even playing in their top gear, and it'll be fun to watch them play for the rest of the year. That's for sure.
There's no doubt about it. This is fun to do, man. Doing this bracket, putting this bracket together is it just gets you excited, man. It gets you fired up for what is to come, because while you never want to wish a season away, we are getting to that second half. And stuff's starting to shake. We saw that last week, that a lot of these games were so important, in October, and some of the teams were playing in playoff games last year, which was interesting. I mean, which was something there. So it was really cool to see what was going on. And we're starting to get to the end of this season, which is a lot of fun. Looking forward to the playoff here, but we're not going to wish it away. So, Kev, 2 questions before we get out of here. First, you watching the Cavs tonight? Are you watching the Cleveland Cavaliers play basketball tonight? Can you believe it's basketball season?
I'll be getting wings with some friends tonight, so maybe.
Okay. All right. Better question, and more important question, a question people want the answer to. You get your choice. All right, we're sitting down. You sit down. You get the menu. What's the wing order? What's the Kevin Woidke wing?
Buffalo wing. Run the football.
How many? Boneless, traditional. What are we doing?
Oh, bone in. What are we talking about?
I'm just making sure.
What are we, children?
I'm just making sure. Some nights call for boneless, some don't. Just making sure. Wednesday night, get some beer, maybe some beers, but we can get a boatload of wings. How many are we getting? 12, 24? What's the order?
I mean, it's 12. What?
Ranch blue cheese?
What do we know? What?
You don't do ranch?
No.
Oh my God.
Eat your wings like an adult. You don't need that.
We're going barbecue on this side of things. If we can get some kind of barbecue wing, great. I usually go 6 and 6. I run the football. Maybe I run the maybe I don't run out of the I formation. Maybe I'm in shotgun running read options, because I go 6 boneless, or no, not 6 boneless. I go 6 barbecue, and then I go 6 something else, whether that's garlic parm, whether they have like a specialty sauce. There's a bourbon sauce at the spot right up the street that I die for. I got a Cajun barbecue at my spot that's walkable to my house. And some of those go really, really hard. But I love a good wing night, dude.
You're talking play action. You're talking misdirection. It is run the football. It is called buffalo wings for a reason. It is buffalo sauce. And there's a better chance you catch me watching Middle Tennessee, Delaware, if I'm choosing what's on TV, battle it out in Delaware, than I see a casket. Don't show me NBA basketball until after March Madness.
Okay.
I have systems set up. It is college football right now and the World Series. It's football, World Series.
Okay. Right, all right. Let's go. Let's talk hardball then. The Dodgers, the Blue Jays. That was the most electric 3-run home run I've ever seen. I was heavy on the Mariners, so I was sad on Monday night. What do you got? What's your World Series?
Oh no, I don't think anyone's beating the Dodgers. It showed their reaction after winning that NL pennant. Like they don't care. They're merciless. They're robots out there. I would love to see Toronto win, but I honestly wanted Seattle to win. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be the Brewers versus the Mariners, and then let it all go.
Yeah.
Similar to when the Guardians played or I guess Indians at the time, played the Cubs.
It was awesome.
Two teams that hadn't won a World Series, like, let's let it go.
Mm.
And that, or at least in a long time. But that's what I would have rather seen. However, now I'm pulling fully for my brothers up in the Great White North.
It is all of America is Canadian next week, because I think there's only about 60,000 people who root for the Dodgers, and they'll just be at the games, because I don't think anybody wants it. It sucks so bad how loaded their roster is. And every team wants it, right? We got the Indians or the Guardians spending like $100 on their roster. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are at like $600 million. It's crazy. It won't be fun. The fun was over in the ALCS. That's as fun as it'll be. It'll be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep at that, in my opinion. But it's crazy that it's already at the end of the baseball season. But we got more coverage of the Buckeyes coming your way here on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel. We'll be back Friday. Quick show, just doing a weekend preview, one of our fun ones that we'll buzz through. We'll just look at some of the top games from the weekend that's coming our way. That will have implications on the top 25, implications on the potential playoff, and look at what games this weekend will be those playoff type matchups. So we'll be back Friday with that, and then Saturday we will be off. Like we said, we are both busy on Saturday, so there'll be no show on Saturday, but we'll be back with you next week, getting ready for the Penn State Nittany Lions. So a ton more content to come here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're getting over to the site, roundtable.io/sports/NCAA/Ohio State. Bunch of written content over there for you this week, talking about all things Buckeyes, and making sure you are covered wall to wall. So we're getting out of here on that. For my partner, Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks for hanging out with us and looking at a playoff prediction. Fun one tonight for us. Appreciate you jumping in and joining us. We'll see you again soon here on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel.